We are in Pavlov Harbor in Freshwater Bay on the north end of Chichagof Island in the beautiful Tongass National Forest on one of those rare days that we've had all week. I'm sure nobody believes us that it rains here in the Tongass, that this is a rainforest. We've got another beautiful sunny day here. The native people, when they look at this intertidal zone that we're sitting at today, they see the table set. There's a saying that when the tide is out, the table is set, because there's so much food out in these intertidal zones. And we're not the only ones that know that there's a lot of food out there. Sea stars know that there's food out there. And the tide was so far out when we landed that the beach was covered with these sea stars. And they were all moving around very slowly, but nonetheless moving around looking for blue mussels to eat primarily. We're up in Pavlov Harbor looking for bears because the river here up below the falls is chock full of pink salmon. And where there's lots of pink salmon, particularly in northern southeast where there's lots of brown bears, we were hoping to catch a bear fishing in there. The ones that we saw were pink salmon, and they spent a couple years out at sea, and now they're coming back at the end of their life cycle to spawn. And spawning does two things. Spawning makes the next generation of fish, but when these fish went out into the ocean, they were only about this big. And now they have grown up and they're into fish that are about this big, and they've brought all those nutrients from the ocean back here to the forest. And when they spawn, and when bears drag them up in the forest, or if eagles get them and move them around, they're taking all the nutrients from the ocean and bringing up and dispersing it out into the forest. So they're doing two things. Alaska is one of the few places in the world that still has these incredible wild runs of salmon. And salmon are very sensitive to changes in water quality. So if you were to go in and log an area and get silt runoff into the river, or if you were to go in and do a mine and you had some acid mine runoff into the stream, it would do bad things to the fish population. But the way to get the most fish out of a river system is to leave it exactly the way it was made.
Well, we were just getting ready to wrap up our operations when a mama bear, a sow, and two cubs was spotted on the waterfall fishing for salmon. It was incredible. There was the one hike up there, and they spotted her first. And so quickly, kayakers, zodiacs made their way upstream, and everyone got a fantastic view of that sow bear and her cubs fishing for salmon. It was incredible as they pounced on the salmon that were going upstream, and mama bear would catch one, and then the cubs would go out and catch a salmon, and all three of them had a significant hump on the back of their shoulders, which told us that these definitely are brown bear. We are really lucky to see these bears, and it's a perfect example of the wildness of Alaska.